All right, what's going on, everybody? Today we are going to break down the 2024 rookie QB class. Essentially, we're going to go through Caleb Williams, Jaden Daniels, Drake May, Michael Penix Jr., JJ McCarthy, and Bo Nix and their early careers and kind of see where they're at right now and how things are going. Obviously, as a Viking fan, I'm wanting to do this because I'm trying to compare and contrast and see where JJ McCarthy is and what to expect from him as he comes back from injury and makes only his third ever NFL start this Sunday against the Lions. So we'll dive right into that. But first, quick recap last night with the Baltimore Ravens taking care of business against the Dolphins. The Dolphins went ahead and fired the GM today. I would say not a surprising move because at this point, anything with the Dolphins isn't surprising. They are just not playing good football. They look like a lost team, like a team where the locker room is broken. And this just looks like they're going for a top 3 pick at this point, top 5 pick in the draft. McDaniels, obviously, Mike McDaniels, I think is pretty much, they're probably just going to let him finish the season, but I don't see a world in which he's coming back as their coach. I guess it's one or the other. So I guess if you're going to fire the GM, you keep the coach just to have some sort of functioning stability. You find your new GM and then let the new GM obviously then hire the head coach. So this makes total sense. If you didn't like the Mike McDaniel hire at this point, then why are you going to keep around the guy who essentially hired him? Yeah, so they lost 28-6. Tua just, it's just the same old thing with the Dolphins. They're 2-7 now. There's no way they're going to win the division at this point. It would be a miracle if they make the playoffs. So I think they're going to just buy into the whole, let's just keep it going how it's going. Obviously, Tyreek Hill is out for the year. So at this point, I think they'll finish maybe 4-13 or something like that. And that's fine. And they can get a top 5 pick. Who knows? Maybe they try to move away from Tua. But for right now, I think they're stuck with Tua because of his contract. And I think that's just going to have to be something they work with. While the Ravens bounce back, they won 2 in a row now. They're 3-5. They're trying to crawl back in. Lamar looked great. 18 for 23, 204 yards, 4 touchdowns. And that's what you needed. A kind of easy kind of game for Lamar to work his way back in from that hamstring injury. And now they can start ramping up and they take on the Vikings next week in Minnesota. So, all right, speaking of the Vikings, obviously JJ McCarthy starting this weekend, but I wanted to just look at the draft class. So obviously Caleb Williams went number 1 last year in the 2024 NFL draft. Jaden Daniels was number 2. Drake May was number 3. The Falcons surprised the world by picking Michael Penix Jr. after they had just given Kirk Cousins a $100 million free agent contract. Many people, including myself, criticized the move because it just made no sense. Why are you going to be paying that much money for what you're essentially hoping to be your backup quarterback because you're anticipating the 8th pick being good? And right now, I think it just doesn't look like a good move because Kirk Cousins obviously can't really play like he used to play coming back from that Achilles tear. And we'll take a look and dive deep into Michael Penix's numbers, but I haven't seen anything from him that tells me he is a franchise guy. But as we will talk about, he also has had a limited number of starts, and that's something that I think is a big topic that I'm trying to, really take a look at. And Bo Nix, obviously, after JJ McCarthy was picked 10th, Bo Nix was picked 12th by the Broncos. So let's start with Caleb. We start at the top. So Caleb Williams, at this point, has played a total of 24 games. Completion percentage is 62, so not fantastic. And he's got 5,100 yards passing. Now, touchdown INT ratio, 29 touchdowns to 10 INTs. So that part of it, I'm going to take a look at, for example, let's say Patrick Mahomes. Let's take a look at his stats for his career. That we can say is pretty much one of the better, if not the best quarterbacks in the whole NFL. So I'm trying to take a look at his career stats. So career stats, his touchdown to INT ratio is 262 touchdowns to 78 INTs. So that's, what is that? About 80, 160, 240. So that's a little bit over a 3-to-1 ratio. So that, then when you look at Caleb, he's about close to that, 29 touchdowns to 10 INTs, pretty much 3-to-1. So if it's somewhere around there, for the most part, if a quarterback had a season where they threw 29 touchdowns and 10 interceptions, you would say that's a pretty good season. So that is the big part of Caleb that I really like, is that he doesn't really turn the ball over that much. However, now we're going to compare and contrast the start. Obviously, I think these guys, look, the biggest thing with these guys is I think they need time. And I think right now this league, we're in such a win now situation where people don't give these rookie quarterbacks a chance to breathe, a chance to get settled, a chance to make mistakes. Like if they're struggling and it's been 2 years, their first 2 years, it's already pressure of what's their organization going to be? Are they going to stick with that quarterback for year 3? And yeah, I get that because you ideally want to win, but it's all about development. And I think these guys, obviously, if they had the talent to be so successful in college, the talent is there. And yes, the NFL is a different game, different speed and all that, but then that's on the coaching and it takes time. There's a transition there. So Caleb's rookie year and this year don't look that different. Completion percentage rookie year was 62.5. This year it's 61.9. And last year's touchdown INT ratio was better. It was 20 touchdowns to 6 interceptions. This year it's 9 touchdowns to 4 interceptions. So he's closer to that 2-to-1 ratio than 3-to-1. And his QBR is higher this year, 53 this year as opposed to 43 last year. His QB rating is 90. Last year was 88. Last year he took 68 sacks. This year he's only taken 12, and we're almost halfway through the season. So there's a lot of things to like with Caleb as far as him getting the ball out quicker, which is why the sacks are low. Also, the offensive line is just better. But I would just say for being the number 1 pick, it is a little bit underwhelming. You expect this guy to be the guy. And if he's not the guy right now, you want to see it. And I just think that he's fine and he can be a winning quarterback, but you need a team around you for him to be successful. I don't feel like he's the guy that will take the team, let's say, to the next level. And what I mean by that is, for example, if you put, let's say a guy like, let's say Josh Allen, obviously a great quarterback. And I think if you put an average quarterback with the Buffalo Bills, they will not be a good football team. They would be bad. And with Josh Allen, they are great. They are a great football team because of Josh Allen. Where I feel like with Caleb, he goes as the team goes. And I don't really right now, and again, this is only year 2, see him as the captain of the ship per se. So, but now if you put Josh Allen on the Chicago Bears, I think their record now is a lot better. I don't think they lose games like they just did to Baltimore. And I think they're Super Bowl contenders. So that's the difference. Again, all these guys are in their second official year in the NFL. So it's still very early, but it's the patterns that we're looking at. So we'll switch on over to Jayden Daniels. So he's been banged up this year, obviously. But Jayden, for example, last year had a 69 completion percentage. So obviously it was better than what Caleb had. Caleb had 3,500 yards passing, about the same as Jayden Daniels. And again, remember, Jayden Daniels actually didn't start off super hot either. He wasn't wow until towards the latter half of the year. But same thing. Touchdown INT ratio last year, 25-9. So 3-to-1-ish. So not bad. And he took 47 sacks. So he also took a lot of sacks. But then this year, again, sample size is smaller. 5 games played. Completion percentage has dropped 61%. And his touchdown INT ratio, though, 8-to-1. He has only 1 pick. And he has 8 touchdowns and 13 sacks. So similar to Caleb, but he's protecting the ball better. And, completion percentage-wise, they're basically the same. But the thing with Jayden Daniels that you like, again, is low turnovers, which is crucial. And the QBR is at 50, and his QB rating is 97. But, again, it's how he's reading the defense and all those kind of things. So I like where Jayden Daniels at. But the thing with him is he can't stay on the field sometimes when he's got that slim frame and he's constantly getting hit. That's, I think, same thing. I think that Washington have the QB of the future? I do. Would I rather have Jayden Daniels over Caleb Williams? Yeah, I slightly would. Yes. Just because he's, proven at times like last year that he could be the leader of the captain of the ship, like I said earlier. And so I do like that with Jayden Daniels. And again, low turnovers. That's what it's so important to me with these rookie quarterbacks, because that tells me that they're not putting the ball in harm's way, and that if you have a defense that's decent, you will be in most every game. Now, Drake May, here we go. This is where the contrast starts happening. So we'll just go straight to the touchdown INT ratio. He had 15 touchdowns last year and 10 interceptions in 13 games played. So that's not a great ratio. I mean, that's a 3-to-2 ratio. And that is kind of not great if you're going to have that. So obviously, if you span this over a full season, let's say a quarterback has 30 touchdowns, but 20 interceptions, you're not really liking that. Probably not going to do great. Now, last year, he only got sacked. I mean, only still a good amount, but he got sacked 34 times last year. So he wasn't getting rid of the ball super fast. Again, rating 88, QBR 55. It's okay. But now you look at this year. So after 13 starts, this year, completion percentage 75%. Okay. He's already almost matched the total number of yards passing that he had last year. Last year, he had 2,276 yards passing in 13 games. In 8 games this year, he has 2,026. So he's about 250 yards away from eclipsing his number last year. So let's say he gets it this weekend. He would have played 4 less games this year and already thrown for more passes. He's already thrown for as many touchdowns, 15 touchdowns. And guess what? 3 interceptions. That's a 5-to-1 ratio. So yeah, my math's working. So he's been able to kind of also even out his career number, where career-wise, he's thrown 30 touchdowns and 13 picks. Again, if that's a full season for someone, not too bad. You'd like the turnovers to be down, but also he is showing a pattern of learning as he goes, that the turnovers are getting less and less. Now, he's taken 28 sacks. I don't love that. The Patriots don't have the best line there is, but also he's not as mobile as Jayden Daniels, which, again, Jayden Daniels has taken, I would say, 13 sacks is not a lot, but it is a good amount for 5 games. It's okay. I guess it's 2 and a little bit more per game. That's not terrible. Caleb has taken only 12 in 7 games, and that's because he's super mobile and he's just so hard to tackle in the backfield. Drake May, 28 sacks in 8 games. I'd like that number to go down. That's a little bit over 3 sacks per game. But again, 15 touchdowns, 3 interceptions, 75% completion percentage. That's great. And that's why he's playing MVP ball. And that's why right now New England is winning. And again, I do think that he is showing that characteristic of you can win because of me, not just with me. All right. And this is where obviously these 3 guys, look, if I was picking who I want, I don't want to have recency bias with Drake May. Because I do respect Jayden Daniels as well. I think he's great. So to me, I'm not just going to say I would take Drake May number 1 because this year he's having a great year. It looks like it, sure. But I think Jayden Daniels is up there too. So either way, it's either Drake May or Jayden Daniels 1 and the other guy is number 2. And Caleb would be 3 just because, again, that development that, is not really there right now. But he's young. I keep saying that. All right, Michael Penix Jr. Last year he only played 5 games. 58 percentage completion, and 3 touchdowns, 3 picks. That's not a good touchdown to INT ratio. But again, he only had 5 starts last year. Like, that's not a lot at all. And he took 4 sacks in 5 games. Again, that's pretty good. I mean, either the O-line was playing fantastic or he was able to avoid sacks and get out of the pocket, or the ball was coming out quick. This year, 6 games, pretty similar when it comes to completion percentage, 61. Touchdown to INT ratio, it's 5-3. Nothing much there. 9 sacks, though. So he's taking a little bit more sacks. And now he's hurt as well. He missed last week. That's why Kirk Cousins had to play. Ratings 85. QBR's 49. To be fair, I don't look at those numbers too much. It's different stuff, PFF here and there or whatever. But again, it's just underwhelming. In 6 games, if you only have 5 touchdown passes, that's less than a touchdown a game. That's right now, if I had to, I'm going to hold my jury out on JJ McCarthy because he's barely played. But from these 4 guys, obviously I think, and if we include Bo Nix, I mean, Penix is the biggest red flag to me. There's a certain that I don't see with him. And I definitely don't see him as a guy that can be a captain of the ship right now. I don't even really see him as someone you can particularly win with. And the next level is this someone you lose with? And I think he's somewhere in between that. Because if you have a quarterback throwing less than a touchdown a game, then that might be the reason you're losing games, because your quarterback ain't moving the ball and getting touchdowns. And, and it's just not something that I think is going to be sustainable for winning quarterback. All right. And then JJ McCarthy, again, this guy's played 2 games this year, both of them. His touchdown INT ratio is atrocious. 2 touchdowns, 3 interceptions, 9 sacks in 2 games. So he's been taking like almost 4.5 sacks a game. Like, that's ridiculous. So he's technically, if you're looking at numbers, the biggest red flag, but it's 2 games. And look, I'm a Viking fan, so I watch these games. The offensive line, atrocious. Just terrible. Didn't even give him a chance to breathe. The fumble he had against Atlanta, I mean, by the time he took his 3-step drop, the blitzer was there and sacking him. So I'm going to hold off judging him. I'll talk about him a little bit more at the end here after we break down Bo Nix. So Bo Nix, this guy started all 17 games last year for the Broncos, led them to the playoffs, 29 touchdowns, 12 interceptions. Now that number is pretty damn good for a rookie quarterback. So again, in comparison, Caleb played all 17 games as well. He had 20 touchdowns and 6 picks. Again, not a bad ratio, but that's a better ratio than Bo Nix, but 29 touchdowns is a lot of touchdowns. Even Jaden Daniels last year had 25 touchdowns and 9 picks. Now you're talking about 29 touchdowns and 12 interceptions. So he's getting the ball in the end zone. He's giving points to the offense. The 12 interceptions, you would like that to come down, obviously. But again, pretty close to a 3-to-1 ratio. This year, you're looking at it, 15 touchdowns, 5 picks, also a 3-to-1 ratio. So a little bit, exactly 3-to-1 ratio. And last year, he was a little bit less than a 3-to-1 ratio. So again, that's improving as well. Overall for his career, 44 touchdowns, 17 picks, just around 3-to-1. Again, not terrible. A rating of 92 for his career. And completion percentage this year is a little bit less than last year, but 63%. So again, all these guys' completion percentage is somewhere around there. That's how it usually goes. But the thing with Bo Nix, again, is he a quarterback that you would lose because of? No, because he'll get the ball in the end zone. But and the turnovers aren't that high. If the turnovers are high, then that's a quarterback you lose with, pretty much. But again, is he a guy you can win with? Of course. I mean, and they won last year and they made the playoffs and they're winning this year as well. Now, is he a guy that you can win because of? And I'm leaning towards yes, surprisingly, because many people weren't very high on Bo Nix, but I think you can. And I think he's kind of proving that this year. And sometimes it's freaky and it's fluky, it seems like the Giants game where they put up 33 fourth quarter points. But, I mean, he did it, though. And then the next week, he came out, balled out against the Cowboys. So you got to give him credit. Bo Nix is looking like a franchise quarterback for sure. I mean, just this year's numbers, like I said, 8 games played, 15 touchdowns, 5 interceptions, the completion percentage of 63. You ideally like the completion percentage to come up a little bit, but that's still pretty damn good. I mean, like Patrick Mahomes' completion percentage this year is 67. Touchdown INT, 17 touchdowns, 4 interceptions. So Pat Mahomes had above a 4-to-1 touchdown to INT ratio. And that's why he's so good. That's why they win. Because the key to winning football games is not turning the ball over. And if you can win the turnover margin, chances are you're going to win a lot. So that's what I have on those guys. Now, JJ McCarthy and the Vikings, look, they play the Lions this week. I think Viking fans that think he's going to come in and save their franchise are smoking something, because that's not how this goes. If you've watched this team, their defense has not been good. The thing with JJ McCarthy, they always said in college and in high school, whatever, that he was a winner. I do think he's a winner. But also when it comes to this level in the NFL, everybody's a winner, okay? Like all these guys have won. In high school, they were the best players, most of them, in their state probably, which is what got them scholarships to the LSUs, to the Alabama. So, yes, when I say I love him because he's a winner, it has nothing to do with actually the winning games. It has to do for me with the qualities of a leadership standpoint. Do I think that the other guys in the locker room respect him? Do I think that they look at him as and have that confidence in him that he can take them there? And like it or not, in his 2 crappy games in that fourth quarter against the Bears, he showed that. Guys rallied. Guys could have easily been like, man, this kid sucks. 3 quarters in, this game is lost. But he made it happen. It wasn't really the defense. The defense held firm, but it wasn't like the Vikings defense had a pick 6 themselves to get the scoring back going. It was McCarthy. So that little glimpse of hope is something you hang on to and you see and you go, all right, that's a quality that is good. Now, 3 interceptions is something that you're going to lose with. So as a Viking fan, I'm just looking for these next 8 games, 10 games, whatever he starts. Hopefully it's the last 10 games for the Vikings. If he starts all 10, just keep the turnovers down. If he goes these next 10 games and has 14 touchdowns and let's say 15 touchdowns to make the math easier and 7 interceptions, that's okay. That's fine. Because ultimately, at the end of this year, the most number of starts he could have had is 12. And ultimately, if you look at Drake May last year, in 13 starts, he had 15 touchdowns and 10 interceptions. So if McCarthy can finish the season with 12 games played and 15 touchdowns and less than 10 interceptions. He's already off to a bad start. Yes, 3 picks already. And completion percentage around 60 to 65%. That's all you need. Because right now the Vikings, with their roster, even though that defense has been atrocious, so I'm talking more future roster, with the cap space that they have and being able to hopefully bring in free agents. For the next 3 years after this one, they don't need a quarterback that will be the reason you win. They just need a quarterback that's not the reason you lose. And that's fine. And if McCarthy for the next 3 years is a quarterback that you can win with, then they'll be competing for the next 3 years. And then if that doesn't cut it, you can move on from him if you don't like it. But if he in the next 3 years, again, after this one, because after this one, he's still got 3 more years in what would be the rookie scale contract. If he can become a guy that you win because of, there's no world in which I can't see the Vikings having deep playoff runs because they have the talent around him. So we will see. But again, I have been very vocal about how the head coach has handled this injury and everything with JJ McCarthy. I just think it has been handled very poorly. If in some crazy world, he has 10 touchdowns and 10 interceptions, so a 1-to-1 ratio at the end of the season, I still think next year you just got to commit to the rookie quarterback and let them develop. And that's been the biggest problem that I feel like the Vikings right now, they're in this fantasy win now mode in their minds with a rookie quarterback who you are expecting the world out of. I can't name a rookie quarterback that has won the Super Bowl because that very rarely happens. Jaden Daniels was incredible last year. We just went through the numbers and they still were 1, 2, 3 wins away from winning a Super Bowl. So one could say they weren't even close to winning a Super Bowl. And that's a great rookie quarterback. So this is essentially J.J. McCarthy's rookie season. He's about to make his 3rd NFL start in Detroit. So I don't expect that to go well. So again, patience. And again, all these guys can throw the football, but it's the other intangibles. It's the getting the play call right, keeping penalties low, reading a situation, being able to get out of bounds in a 2-minute drill, throwing the ball away, all those things, avoiding sacks. Those are the things that I want to see. If he has that and he shows that and he shows improvement over these next 10 games, then you got your guy. Then you got your guy and you build around him. And that's what I think ultimately the Vikings should be focused on. And we will see because they're playing the Lions. And I feel like when they get smacked by the Lions and JJ plays average, maybe not even average, maybe he struggles, the fan base is going to go crazy. And I don't know what you guys are going crazy about. It's a rookie quarterback. He's going to struggle. Let him make mistakes. Pour in that confidence to say, like, it's all right, man. Like, it's your 3rd NFL start. Yeah, you're going to throw pick sixes here and there. Protect the football. Now, if he only throws 5 touchdowns the rest of the year and 15 interceptions, that's a different story. Now, if that's a quarterback you're losing because of, then you're moving on, and I get that. But if he's all right and he just looks like a quarterback for now that you can win with, that's all you need. So, again, and then that's on the GM at that point to make sure you get the right guys around them for the next 3 years. And you give them those 3 years to develop to be able to go from the guy that you can win with to a guy that you can win because of. And that's when you become the Joe Burrows, the Patrick Mahomes, the Josh Allens, the Lamar Jacksons. So anyway, intriguing rookie class. I'm always excited to watch these guys play. Obviously, Atlanta and New England play this weekend. So Drake May in the 6-2 Patriots. I'm not sure yet if Michael Penix Jr. will play in that game. At Chicago, Caleb Williams and the Bears will play at Cincinnati. The Vikings, like I mentioned with JJ McCarthy, will take on Detroit in Detroit. That's a tough game. Washington will host Seattle, and that's on Sunday Night Football. Not sure Jaden Daniels is playing. I'm leaning that I don't think he will, but maybe. And I think Denver has the bye week this week. I can check that to make sure. Let's see the Denver Broncos and their schedule. So, yep. No, they play at Houston. They play the Texans. Okay, that's a good game. That's a good challenge. Houston's defense is pretty damn good. So we'll take a look and see how Bo Nix does this weekend. But these guys are fun to watch. It's been one of the best rookie quarterback classes, even if McCarthy and Penix Jr. are both flameouts. Between Caleb, Jaden, Drake May, and Bo Nix. I mean, that's at least 3 franchise quarterbacks with Jaden, Drake, and Bo Nix that you can say pretty confidently, and possibly Caleb, if he can take that next step from being a guy you can win with to a guy you can win because. So great draft class. It's fun to talk about these guys and watch them ball. And yeah, we'll come back on tomorrow and make some picks, and we'll see if we think some of these guys will get dubs this weekend. And we'll see how that goes. I can tell you this much, though. This weekend, sorry, JJ McCarthy, I'm not picking the Vikings, but I'm hoping you guys can do it. But I ain't. Come on, I got to be a little smart here. So anyway, have a good weekend, y'all. But I'll talk with you guys tomorrow and put in some picks.